Hello and welcome back to episode 8 of season 7 of the X-Files Revisited, The Amazing Maleeni. Brian, tell me a little bit about the legacy of this episode.
I'm not going to check the scores, but I feel like this is one of the higher regarded ones of the season.
Okay.
So let me just check where it came. Okay. All right. Well, let's see if I was right. 217 episodes. Where do you think it sits? Rough guess.
Ooh, 84.
78.
That's not bad.
22. Oh, yeah. That's it. Oh, yeah, that's it. That's right. And I get all right. There we go. I'm too many notes, man. Too many notes. It gets a little bit ridiculous. All right. Where do you think it sits in the season? So 22 episodes of season 7. Where do you think this sits?
4.
Ooh, the Goldberg variation was at 4.
I can't remember.
This sits at 5.
Right.
So, yeah.
I could, because I know when I did the Goldberg variation, I was torn between 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I couldn't think what I picked.
So according to X-Files fans, or at least IMDb X-Files fans, this should make our top 5 by the end of the season.
Okay.
So
That'd be a nice trip.
Yeah. But in terms of legacy, it doesn't feed in to the show in any way beyond itself. So, there's no callbacks to it later or anything like that. It's just it's its own standalone thing. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So we're at Santa Monica. Now, is this the same location where they shot Falling Down, the end of Falling Down?
Oh, I pass.
Pass, okay. Because it looks very like we have this aerial shot that comes over it and we see the pier, and I'm like, I'm sure that's where Michael Douglas gets taken out at the end of Falling Down.
It's been years since I saw that movie, so
such a great film.
Yeah.
Such a great film. Yeah. So is Maleeni ready to rumble? The greatest show ever. That's what he says. Yeah, it's so he's sat in his van. This is Maleeni. He's a magician, clearly. He's got his van full of tricks that he's just sitting at the back of. And this guy comes over and he's clearly like hired him to come and do the job. And he's like, you ready? You ready? And Maleeni's like, I'm going to give you the greatest show ever. Like, so he goes and does his show. And he's standing in a public spot. Quite a hard thing to do, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing what look like these pretty boring rote tricks that you've seen millions of.
You'd never know with the ravenous audience that's there. The most uninterested group of people you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So he's doing the old ball tricks, in cups and stuff, and even I'm like, oh, come on, guys. And then there's that obnoxious. Why are they always supping a drink? These obnoxious a-holes. Like we had one at Rush. Who's I'm sure there was someone in Rush who was like sucking on a straw or something. There's one of those episodes, but yeah, so really obnoxious douchebag who is like kind of just in the audience shouting stuff out. It's like, show me something. Show me something good. And then Maleeni's like, okay, I'll show you something. And he does a 360 head turn. It's like his head comes up, it turns around all the way, boom. Which seems to shut the guy up. He just kind of walks off. Anyway, moments later, It's the act is over, and he's talking to the guy who hired him, and they get to the van. He sits in his van, and the guy is like, "Oh, just let me go and get you the cash." So he goes off to get the cash, and he comes back, and it looks like Maleeni's sleeping. But when he grabs him to wake him up, his head falls off.
Yeah.
And there's your opening.
Do you ever? Every now and again, you get an episode of the X-Files where, or I do anyway, where I know instantaneously I'm going to love it. I'm just going to love it. Like, there's something about it. I don't know what it is. There's just something here. For me, straight away, it's Ricky J, the Amazing Maleeni, and I'm like, I love Ricky J. Yeah, I think he's fantastic. He was a sleight of hand specialist.
Yeah.
He's in all the David Mamet stuff. I was just like, fantastic. Hopefully he's going to be in all this episode, not die within the first opening sequence. But yeah, I the heckler is so overly obnoxious. It's deliberately so. It's fun.
Yeah.
The tricks are, I mean, what he's doing is very skillful. It's just the presentation is boring as hell.
Yeah.
I'm in. I mean, the head falls off. I'm like, what's going on? This is wonderful. And the quirky kind of fun music that goes along with it. Everything in this opening was specifically designed to reel me in, and it did.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since I'd seen this episode. The first time I ever saw The Prestige, I wasn't as big a fan of it as I am now. Like, it took a second viewing of The Prestige for me to really love it. One of the reasons I didn't love it out and out first time around is that I saw the first twist coming a mile off. It's kind of like two twists, really, in The Prestige. One twist, which I think is a red herring, is that... Oh, actually.
Yes. Yes.
I won't say what it is, right? But I will simply say this. The reason that I think I saw that coming a mile off is because of this episode of The X-Files. Right. I think I was already pre-programmed. I was already wired to see what was coming in The Prestige. And like I say, there's two twists in The Prestige. The other one is a twist that's like... It's a twist because it's... Oh, you mean it really is that? Like, it's the misdirection thing. It's like they want to make it look like it's this, and it actually is this. So he's kind of playing on the whole misdirection thing. So like, it's a bit of a shock when it actually turns out to be that. But yeah, certainly Prestige first time around, I found it a frustrating film because I felt like some of the twists that you meant to see them, but I did, and some you're not, and I didn't. And so yeah, I think it's this episode. I think I was primed by this episode to see a lot of the stuff coming in The Prestige. I mean, The Prestige is now one of my favourite movies, but whatever. So Mulder and Scully.
Just on a side note, Brian.
Yeah.
Prefer The Illusionist?
No.
No, I
do. Don't be one of those. But really, you prefer The Illusionist? The Illusionist isn't even half the film that The Prestige is.
No, it's a full movie. It's a full film.
No,
it's not.
It's just it always. I can never understand why anyone could say they like The Illusionist better than The Prestige.
It's terrific. It's so terrific.
It's not. It's such an average film. I watched it. It's just
I think Prestige is average.
I think you're smoking crack. Anyway, moving on.
I think you're shooting heroin.
Mulder and Scully are at the scene, and Scully says murder. Mulder says magic trick gone horribly wrong. Ask the police officer if they can see the camera, and that's where they see the heckler. And Scully, with her keen eye, sees that the heckler throws his cup into the bin, and deduces if we could get that cup, we get his fingerprints.
Yeah, and it's that bit where they're rewinding the tape. and they're doing it, and I'm like, oh, you can see his reflection in the mirror, and then she's like, the cup, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no. It'd have been funny if it had been like because of where they're at. If you saw his reflection in one of those mirrors that elongates your face, and then they have to take it to like a specialist who's got to de-stretch it. But it's a nice scene anyway, because just like a bit of playful banter between Mulder and Scully.
It's one of those episodes where you know it's not going to take itself seriously. It's fun and kind of carefree, and that kind of mood, like, it settles me into like I think I'm just going to get a fun episode.
When Mulder says it's a magic trick gone horribly wrong, it feels like there's a slight inference there that this has been done before and it's gone wrong. And I was expecting him to name like two magicians who tried this trick and it kind of failed and they broke their neck or something, and he doesn't. And it's like, so it's just like, okay, all right. So it's just he just thinks the magic trick gone horribly wrong.
I know if you can try and remember back to when you first saw this, Brian, did you think it was going to be a supernatural element to it? Or did you think it was just going to be reasoned away?
So I think when I first saw it, I think the main thing, the main question that remained throughout was that I wanted to know how they did the head thing. Like, I wanted an explanation. Like, I want them to get to that. And I'm not sure we actually do we?
I can't remember. I think there's something later on, but they just kind of breeze over it quickly.
Yeah,
because the way you get through this episode, and I think this is absolutely great because it's complete and utter tosh.
Yeah,
is they'll be like, "How did the guy make his head turn round?" And they'll be like, "Well, watch this."
Yeah,
and then lean on the ground and spin their
twice. Like, they do it twice.
That means nothing.
Yeah, that means zero. I'm sorry, but the neck doesn't work the same way as the joint in an arm. The two are not comparable in any way, shape, or
form. Like confident swagger when they do it, and it's like, yeah.
It's like, that's not an answer. Okay,
nope.
That's a cool trick. It's a cool arm trick, but it's not an answer. Like you do it with your neck, and then I'll buy that as an answer. But it's funny. There's a lot in this episode actually that, if you stop, like, thankfully the episode doesn't allow you to stop long enough to think too much about certain aspects of it, which is one of the skills of it. Because I think if you did, there's a lot here that just kind of falls apart. But because it moves like so briskly, you kind of just go, all right, go on, just next, which is fine. So the pacing there is really good. But so they obviously, after getting the fingerprints from the bin, it takes them to a Mr. Lamonge who does some tricks, but with more style. So this guy does like very similar tricks to what Maleeni was doing, but he has like a much more style about him, and he compares it to like composers, Mozart and some other dude that I can't remember the name of, which I think is kind of the point, which is that everybody knows Mozart. The guy had style. The other composer that he names, no clue. And that's when he does the twisting of the arm 360, as if that somehow explains the neck twist. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
No.
And then he pickpockets Mulder and Scully, which is really nice. So they're asking him like, questions about Maleeni, and this guy. One crucial piece of information that he gives out is that Maleeni was in debt. He was in with a lot of the wrong people. He was indebted to them because he was a bit of a douche, and he was a bad magician because he had no style. And then he pickpockets Mulder and Scully as just to prove how good he is and how stylish he is and all that stuff. And the looks on their faces is it's quite amusing. So Scully does an autopsy on Maleeni, and it turns out that his body died a month ago from coronary. The head was glued back on with gum, and somebody performed. So they say, like, well, but he performed yesterday. And then Scully's like, no, somebody performed yesterday.
Yeah.
And it ain't him. Like, I think it's blatantly obvious at that point that there's a twin involved.
I wasn't thinking about it. Did you know? It's one of those episodes where I'm just happy to go along in the journey.
Right.
So when they're just saying stuff, I'm just like, oh, I wonder how this is going to turn out. Cool. Let's just see where it goes. I wasn't overly thinking anything.
Yeah. Like I just instantly thought twin. Now whether that's got something to do with anything, I don't know. But I just like it's got to be a twin. And this dude died a month ago, and it's like there's got to be a twin, and he's using his dead twin brother to make his magic look good or whatever. But LeBonge goes to see gangster Sissy that Maleeni owed money to. He tells him he's the one who offed Maleeni, says he can make him his money back tenfold if he helps him with magic, and then he performs a magic trick because Sissy's like all for just like take this guy out of here and give him a good ass whooping. So he realizes he's got to pull out the stops, and he does this like hand on fire trick, and then when his hand like comes out of the fire, it's holding Sissy's wallet basically.
I think it's his debt book.
Yeah, his debt book. His
because that
what did
a
they
page
call
of that
this?
book comes into play later on.
Yeah. So, but like this is what I was talking about before, though, which is if you look at the minutia of this episode, there is a lot of things that had to have happened in order for them to pull their job off. Like even something as simple as walking into this place at this particular moment when that guy's got his book, his debt book in his hand, and he's like, waving it around and stuff. Like, just little things like that throughout. But again, like I say, it's so entertaining. You don't kind of care about any of that stuff. So, Mulder and Scully go to the bank to speak to one Alfred Pinchbeck, Maleeni's twin brother. So obviously I'm thinking twin brother, but I'm also thinking that's the reveal at the end of the episode. So it's literally just 2 scenes later, Mulder and Scully rock up, boom, there's a twin brother. It's like, all right, okay, so they're calling that out straight away. So this is all right. So the episode's going to go somewhere else with it. So that's fine. So they go and they find the twin brother, who's got an injured neck because he was in a car accident in Mexico. And Mulder and Scully question him and doubting, like, were you though? Were you really in a car accident in Mexico? And he performs this card trick anyway. Gets Mulder to pick a card again. One of those ancient card tricks that you've seen like 1,000 times before. Mulder gives his theory about the estranged brothers, and then Alfred reveals just how bad his car accident in Mexico was.
I just love how Mulder's just in there going like, yeah, car accident. Oh, car accident in Mexico. Yeah.
And then he backs up and he's just like, no legs. Okay.
Yeah. maybe he's right.
Yeah. So, which again, just a little something in there that goes to prestige as well. There's a little story that Christian Bale's character tells about this magician who carried this ball between his legs for years to keep up this act thing, and there's just again little nods in there to, not nods so much as precursors to, So Mulder and Scully chat. I love how they're coming out of Maleeni's office, and then Mulder goes, "Ooh," because and he kind of does this like face palms, like because he just realised how much he's put his foot in it. Like,
Yeah.
So they decide.
At least they had a foot. At least they had a foot to put in it. I suppose.
They decide they need help from the Mozart of magic, meaning Mr. Lamonge. So they have Lamonge look through Maleeni's van. He found some doves that are still in there. They've been in there this whole time waiting for someone to feed them. And he gives Scully a hat, hence the image you kind of see behind us, which we've besmirched with our mushes. Gotta say, getting some real Zatanna vibes off Scully when she's got that hat on. And they've even given her the black suit with the white top, which just, again, like Zatanna, real Zatanna vibes. And I don't mind admitting, it's kind of hot. It's something about Scully with that hat on that works for me, I've got to say. But moving on. Lamonge makes a fool of himself looking for where Maleeni kept the body of his dead brother. They find a receipt for a $20,000 marker in Pinchbeck's van. It's more on the floor just outside Pinchbeck's van.
Yeah.
I wonder who dropped that.
It could be anybody.
It could be anyone. So, but I like the commitment here. That Lamont, I want to call him Blamonge. I like the commitment by Lamonge to be willing to make himself look foolish in order to sell the other stuff. Which, it's like they say that magicians, there's a lot of ego there. You got to be quite egotistical to be a magician because like you want everyone to look at you in awe of what you're doing. And in order to pull off the greatest magic trick in the case here, they've kind of got Lamonge in particular has got to push his ego to one side and make himself look like an absolute fool in front of these two FBI agents, which is like, that shows just how committed he is to the trick. Pinchbeck lets some guards out of his bank vault with some cash, and as they go in, he asks about the gun at the side, because he says since his accident, he's been thinking about getting protection. The guard takes the bullets out of the gun before handing it to him so he can just handle it and see what it's like. Then Sissy comes to his office and threatens him. And we see that he's got tats on his hand. So comes in, he's like, I know you had a brother. Now he's dead. Like that behavior, like, it creases me. It just makes me want to just punch this guy. Like what right do you think you have to take one man's debt and just put it on someone else?
Yeah.
If my brother racked up debts and some ass clown came to me saying, right, he's dead, so now those debts are yours, I'd be like, on your bike, mate. Do one. Oh, yeah. So clearly this guy is a piece of work. So just after that, the guards that have just left the bank, they're driving, and they may as well have said the left phalange, because they say that is there a problem with the rear diff? What the hell's a diff?
I don't know.
Right, there you go. So clearly, me and Graham, not mechanics. Anyone who knows what a diff is, please feel free to comment in the comment section and let us know. But either way, they've got a problem with the rear diff. So they pull over and the guard goes and checks the rear, and he sees a man inside who's got his back turned to him, and he's like, stick your hands up, all this, that, and the other. And when he sticks his hand up, he's got those same tattoos that we just saw on Sissy's hands.
Yeah.
So basically the guy moves like he's going to make a move for a gun or something. So the guard shoots him 4 times. But then when he goes around to get his mate, and then when they get back there, he's gone. He's vanished. There's no body. And then across the road, Lamont removes his ski mask and begins wiping tattoos off his hand.
Yeah. Right.
So,
now, great that they're showing the guy who's behind it. Why the hell he's standing feet away from the thing he just tried to rob, wiping off the distinguishing marks? I don't care. Because it's one of those movies where you see episodes where you see the failings, and I just don't care.
Yeah. It's just it's just shorthand, isn't it? There's 2 pieces of information that they want to get out, and you can do that by doing 2 setups, 2 shots, which obviously costs more money, or you can do it in 1 shot where you see something going on in the background and something going on in the foreground. Boom! You save yourself a ton of money because you save yourself an afternoon by not having to do 2 different setups. Plus, it gets the information off in the most efficient way possible. It doesn't matter that you look at it and go, would you really do that there? Would you not move off a bit further before doing that? But it's fine, whatever, doesn't matter. It's a bit like in Friends when people say something that they don't want the other person to hear, and you're like, they're right there, dude. There's like a couch between you, but it's just like TV shorthand because you don't want to have to get them out of the room in order to see it and then bring them back in. But Mulder and Scully speak to Sissy Alvarez about his marker that they found in Maleeni's van. Why would I kill him? He said. I wouldn't get paid if I killed him. And then they just say, like, don't leave town. And, off they go.
Yeah.
And outside, the great Maleeni performs a coin trick. I love this scene. Great scene. Mulder does like a coin trick with Scully to show misdirection. The point he's making here is that is the marker, is Alvarez part of some kind of misdirection? Are they being led down the garden path by being put on to Sissy Alvarez? But yeah, I love how Mulder does the trick, and I love the enthusiasm on Scully's face when she's watching the trick, and she's like, yeah, she suddenly turns into like a big kid. Yeah, great. Lamont makes a call to the police before going in to see Sissy, who is pissed at him for framing him with the marker. Yeah. He pulls his magician's gun on them before running out to be caught by the police.
Yeah. Of which he had already called previous to this.
Yeah, for that specific reason, to get caught outside. Yeah. So again, this is another one, like, I'm happy to breeze on by because it's entertaining. I get he planned for this, that, and the other. His plan came to fruition. But if the police were off on their timings, he'd have been running out of that door, and the police wouldn't have been there, and he may have just had to keep running, and he wouldn't have been caught by the police. Or maybe he'd have gone in there and he pulled his gun, and the gangsters think, screw this, and they pull their guns anyway and just shoot his ass. Like, you know what I mean? There's a dozen scenarios that could have happened that he couldn't have foreseen. So for it to play out the way it does so meticulously, as if this is exactly what he planned. I've called the police. I'm going in there, and I know that by the time I run out of this building, that's when the police are going to have pulled up, and they'll catch me because that's what I want them to do. That's what I need them to do.
You get these kind of characters in these kind of TV shows and movies who are like 25 steps ahead of everybody. Who've seen every single permutation of what could happen, and they've outthought it. It's like movies like Now You See Me. Where you know they're crap, but at the same time you're in because they're so like smart, and it's like heist kind of fun things, and it's the same here. Like, the timing is impeccable. Is it luck? Is it by design? Does it even matter? It looks cool.
Yeah, it's like it's clever enough for you to just go along with it, but it's not quite as smart as it thinks it is. And that's the thing. But again, because it's so entertaining, you don't care. So, like, if it wasn't entertaining, then those things that are kind of wrong with it would be real hang-ups where they'd become genuine criticisms.
Yeah.
So Mulder and Scully go to see Pinchbeck. Mulder tosses him out of the chair. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Classic. You got to admire Mulder's confidence.
Yeah.
Given how it played out last time, when he said what he said, and only to find out this guy had no legs, to then go in there with such confidence that no, he does have legs, but he's hiding them.
I mean, he could have left Mulder without a leg to stand on, but
he explains the debt, finding his brother, coming up with the plan. And then Mulder handcuffs him anyway.
Which it would
no
be you the same as me going like, why are you even bothering? Why are you putting handcuffs on this magician? Like, come on, seriously. And this leads to the funniest line in the entire episode, where we cut to the bank manager obviously finding out everything, and he just goes like, but we gave you handicap parking. Like, that's what he's pissed about. Out of everything he could be mad about, that's what's wrong. Not that he's assumed his brother's identity, not that he's been there illegally working. They gave him handicap parking.
I love how he admits as well that he's like he loved the attention he was getting off the women in the building.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, classic. Awesome. So they check his computer to make sure that he wasn't stealing from the bank, and Scully sees and they need Mulder's FBI number to get into it. Scully sees the vault log and notices the truck that was robbed. Maleeni casually takes the cuffs off and says he had nothing to do with the truck. It's like, you want to build trust. You're going to say something that requires them to trust that what you're saying is the truth, and just before you say it, you take the handcuffs off and dangle them under their nose. Classic. Great stuff. So Maleeni is put into the cell next to Lamonge. Again, like, it doesn't matter really, because they could have been put in cells apart from one another. It's not really part of their plan to get put in a cell right next to each other.
No.
But for, again, that whole screen language thing, just to be able to have them next to each other so that they can give each other a knock, and then bring us, the audience, in on the fact that they're in it together. But yeah, it wouldn't make any difference to the story if they were put in cells that were apart from one another. The fact of the matter is they both needed to be in prison at this moment, so that they remain untouchable. So Maleeni, so they're put in the cell. I like his abracadabra, man.
Yeah.
The bank manager opens the vault and it is empty. All the money is gone. Mulder and Scully talk. Maleeni was in prison. The manager shows them the security footage, and Sissy Alvarez was. So this is the footage from the previous day when he came to see him, and that's when they see the footage, and the guard says, "I know those tattoos. They're the tattoos of the guy that I shot who was robbing us." So they go to Sissy's, they have a look around, and they find all the money stashed away up in the roof. So they arrest him, and he's like, Lamonge set me up. And like, you see that Mulder's kind of like,
yeah,
I believe him.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's a scumbag, but I believe he's actually telling the truth. Lamonge, I keep calling him Lamonge, it's Lamonge.
Lamonge, yeah.
Lamonge. Lamonge and Maleeni are being released just as Mulder and Scully rock up to give them their theory. They let them go, providing that there's no more magic. So their theory, obviously, being that, Pinchbeck was in debt with this guy. The guy was a piece of work, and they obviously just want to get him out of the picture. They he deserves to be locked up, quite frankly. So it's revenge against him, and they used the body of the dead brother to do the trick at the beginning, and blah blah blah. So they're let go, and then Mulder tells Scully the final part of their plan was EFT. That's electronic fund transferal, for which they needed an FBI badge number and an agent's fingerprint. Now, I'm assuming it needed to be the same fingerprint as the badge number.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you use Dana Scully's badge number, but you use Mulder's fingerprint, that ain't going to work. So, again, just another little kind of thing that they couldn't have foreseen, because when they needed to get a badge number in the office, they couldn't have guaranteed that it would have been Mulder whose badge number they used. It could have been Scully.
Yes, which leads me to, like, I kind of thought, like, these guys are ahead of everything, and wouldn't they have had contingencies? Scully handled a hat. She handled other things. Mulder handled other things. So I like to think that these guys made a fortune and are retired. Because at no point do I want them to get caught. Like, I just don't. I like them. I like what they're doing.
I'd love to have seen a return of them. Where they're up to some other shenanigans, and because Mulder and Scully know them, they know that they're a part of it, but they can't kind of prove it. And the episode is about Mulder and Scully trying to catch them out, but they're kind of like 5 steps ahead of them. So that'd be a good sequel, I think. The final part of their plan would have been the electronic fund transferal with the badge number and the fingerprint, but Mulder took the card. So they can't do it, presumably. Presumably they can't do it.
If that's the real card. It could have been stashed elsewhere, off their person. Why would they keep it where the police were going to see it?
But we're then still left with the question of, how did Maleeni do the head trick? To which Scully does the arm thing, and we're like, no! And she gets up and she walks off all smarmy, like, proved you. I can do magic too. And it's like, okay, that was nice, but it doesn't answer the question. But we go out on that anyway, and that is the end. So wrap up, go.
I love this episode, Brian. This is the kind of episode that ticks all the boxes for me. It's fun. It's easy to watch. We don't really have any bad guys in this, really. The magicians are
Sissy's
really, but he's like a one-note patsy, really. He has no control or power the entire episode. He's just a puppet, and I love that constant changing of the storyline, like taking the heckler, turning him into LaBonge, turning him into like a kind of woeful magician, turning him into the mastermind. He goes through quite a lot of turns in this, and it's the same with the other guy, Ricky J. I forget his name. What is it?
Pinchbeck.
Pinchbeck, yeah. He has a good few turns as well. And Mulder and Scully seem to be enjoying this, because there's almost no victims other than the bad guy, realistically. So it's just kind of fun and carefree. There are so many faults with it, and yet, as I've said in another episode where this would annoy the hell out of me, I don't care, because there's so much goodwill within the characters and the situations and the jokes that I love it. For me, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, everything you just said, I echo it. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, good stuff. Right. So that's us finished season 3. There is definitely no season 7. There's no more episodes after this. There's definitely not another one that you've been hinting at. So
Signs and Wonders.
no, there's no.
Signs
That's
and
just Brian.
Wonders.
Done. Finished.
Signs and Wonders.
Fine. If you're going to insist, tell me about this episode that you've been hinting towards.
This is an episode that is right up your street. I think you're going to love it.
Oh God! Is it more theology?
It's deep theology and religion and yeah.
Great.
It's like two preachers. One could be evil, one could be good. It's like, you know, what's gonna happen? I'll say this much. I didn't remember anything about this episode. Now I have watched it.
Okay.
Like just in the last couple of days, I've watched it. So I'm already prepped for our next episode. So I've got my thoughts on it. I know you're gonna love it. But like before I watched it, I'll say I couldn't have said anything about it to you. Like I couldn't say this that I'm saying now. That, you know, because I was like, I honestly cannot remember this episode at all, not a single thing. But then I watched it, and now I have my thoughts on it now, which I'll obviously leave till next episode. But I think it's gonna be a painful one for you. But I do think, and I do think there's stuff in there that is really worth a show discussing. That is really worth a show giving the time to, and stuff that today it almost feels more relevant today than it did back then.
Can I just say you're really not selling it?
So we'll be back in about 7 weeks, guys. Once Graham's mustered up the courage to watch this one. But yeah,
this is going to be a rip the plaster off kind of one. Just get it done and discussed and move on. Hopefully,
yeah, sure.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll see. Signs and Wonders. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to get. As always, we would appreciate you rating, supporting us with a comment or a review on whatever podcast service you listen to us on, or on YouTube itself. We really appreciate it. We love to read the comments ourselves. We have little discussions about them. And we will see you next week for Signs and Wonders.
Mm-hmm.